to which this bill is the great antidote, and ask myself very simple questions. The Department of Housing and its predecessors have for a half-century been involved in, for instance, dealing with the housing problem and the availability of public and affordable housing. And at some stage, I mean, when I was in government and there was too many houses being built, and they were all being built in the wrong places, we were told, and people couldn't buy them and couldn't afford them in the end, and we were told that half of them would have to be demolished. Funnily enough, when I'm down in Drummond and Ruski and places like that, Scramogue in Roscommon, I see houses which were, everyone said they'll never be occupied, are now occupied. But I see that this plan would probably say they wouldn't be built there, they'd be built somewhere else, where the OPR will decide is a better place to build them. But the real question is this the answer? Is the plan here, the National Planning Statement and the National Planning Framework, is this going to actually produce more houses? And I don't think it is. I think it's going to give oodles of people plenty of pretexts to object to a whole series of things. It's going to introduce a vast complexity of criteria for anything to happen in future in this country. And it's going to give the Office of the Planning Regulator in particular a veto over virtually anything that office, that independent, unregulated, unresponsible, unaccountable entity decides is in breach of guidelines which it inevitably will end up drafting. I mean, you know, the notion that there is somebody down in the Custom House or wherever they do who's going to draft up these statements for a minister, or the framework for the minister and then the statements, and that the OPR is going to come along afterwards and look at it, is wrong, because the OPR is going to be involved in the entire generation process for all of these plans. And I'm strongly of the view that what we are doing here is making this country a more difficult place for development to happen. And we need development. We have a growing population. We need other values too. I mean, people talk about the maintenance of rural Ireland. But I mean, again, to go back to those places in Roscommon that I mentioned, it's good to get out of Dublin sometimes and to see communities dying on their feet for want of young people to play in the local football club, banks evaporating, pubs closing, hotels now closing for various reasons, the economy atrophying, main streets just mouldering, huge forces taking place in rural Ireland, which deprives rural Ireland of its meaning. And on the other hand,